I'm Jody Eisenberg, and I'm presenting Proposition 24, an initiative statute entitled Changes to Consumer Privacy Laws. It asks voters if an existing law from 2018, called the California Consumer Privacy Act, should be amended to increase penalties on companies that fail to follow regulations, to allow consumers more easily to opt in and out of sharing their data, to change criteria for which businesses need to comply, and to create a new enforcement arm that would cost about $10 million annually. The concern addressed by this proposition is that with the increased use of technology, powerful interests know too much about users, and we don't know what they are doing with that data. The Consumer Privacy Act of 2018 gave consumers protections, especially in helping them identify what kind of data were being collected on them. The current act applies to businesses that A, earn more than $25 million in annual revenue, B, buy, sell, or share data from 50,000 individual devices or households, or C, earn 50% or more of their annual revenues from selling personal data. These businesses must notify consumers of data collection, comply with personal data privacy rights, not treat customers differently for not selling their data. Businesses can be fined for each violation of these requirements. The California Department of Justice, or DOJ, enforces the current act. Prop 24 would make various changes to the 2018 act. First, it would change the categories of businesses affected by removing the, quote, device count, unquote, language in the current act by raising the threshold from 50,000 so that only businesses that buy, sell, or share data from 10,000 individuals or households would be subject to the law. Consumers could direct businesses not to use their personal data for purposes other than the delivery of the actual services those consumers are buying. They could also ask for corrections in that data. Prop 24 would increase penalties for violations of a minor's privacy right violation to a fine of $7,500. That's triple the current fine. It would also provide less time to correct problems. The current law gives a grace period of 30 days to fix privacy violations or instate the security measures whose absence enabled the data breach. Prop 24 would mandate immediate penalties. Prop 24 would create a new California Privacy Protection Agency, which would take over enforcement functions from the California Department of Justice. The fiscal effects of Proposition 24 is that it would provide $10 million annually for our state's general fund, adjusted over time, to finance the new California Privacy Protection Agency. Overall state costs to the DOJ and trial courts probably would not exceed the low millions annually. Fines from new violations might offset these costs, but impacts on businesses and tax revenues are less clear. Regulation can depress tax revenues by cutting into profits in the first place. But data breaches are costly, and it's hard to know how many breaches would be prevented if new regulations force businesses to protect their customers' data better. So what do supporters say? They say Prop 24 would prevent businesses from using or sharing sensitive data about your health, finances, race, ethnicity, and precise location. It would strengthen existing protections by establishing a new California Privacy Protection Agency with $10 million a year. By virtue of being a ballot initiative, it is less vulnerable to watering down through pressure that lobbyists put on legislators. And what do opponents say? They say Prop 24 puts the burden on consumers to opt out of countless intrusive data collective practices, one by one, that under the current law, companies are barred from by default. Hidden economic discrimination also persists under 24. People without money to spend cannot pay for, quote, loyalty programs, unquote, and can expect worse internet connections, slower downloads, and more pop-up ads. Prop 24 would allow employers to keep gathering data about things like the employees' pregnancies, religion, or political activism. The League of Women Voters presents the pros and cons in a nonpartisan, impartial manner. However, the League studies these issues in depth and has taken positions on several of the propositions. If you want to know the League's position on this or any of the other propositions, go to www.lvc.org for more nonpartisan information on candidates and city and county issues and the money behind them. Go to www.votersedge.org.